Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back once again to Wheel Takes, a podcast about the Wheel of Time. I choked on my own saliva. A series of fantasy novels written by Robert Jordan that were then finished by Brandon Sanderson. I'm Gus. I've read all of them.
And I'm Allie, and I have read 10 of them up to Knife of Dreams.
Chapter
32?
Yes.
You might hear our cat Minnie. She's also here.
Minnie has decided to make her presence known. 33, I think. Yeah, 33.
33.
This podcast only contains spoilers for what Allie's already read. And again, that's everything up to and including Knife of Dreams, Chapter 33. Allie, how's it going?
It's going all right, you
Amazing.
know? I am being slightly distracted by the cat.
Yeah.
She is wanting very much to be involved in our recording today.
Yes.
And that's very sweet of her. We love Minnie. Hi, Min.
We definitely have a few people to thank. I need to figure out where we left off last time, so give me 1 second. All right. Thanks for jumping up to a pint, Alexander G.
Alexander G, just like an illustrious cardigan, you are warm. People flock to you because you just have that wonderful, inviting way about you. You are comfortable to be around. Somebody that just puts us all at ease. And you are someone who, in the words of Taylor Swift, when you feel like a old cardigan under someone's bed, I put you on and said, you are my favorite. You're my favorite, Alexander G. And for that, we thank you. And thanks for being a part of this community.
Thanks for jumping up to a pint, Danielle C.
Danielle C., just like a devoted screen protector.
Oh, like on a phone?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
You never crack under pressure. You're somebody who can just stay calm even in the fiercest storms. You are clear in what you want, and you are willing to go for it and do what it takes to get there. And you are someone who sticks to their guns when everything can be difficult to navigate sometimes, difficult to figure out the way forward. You know how to stick to your guns and listen to your gut. And for that, we thank you, and thanks for being a part of this community.
Thanks for jumping up to a pint, Elayne, I think is how I'd pronounce this, or Elayne, or Elayne.
Elisa?
We've said your name before, and I'm sure we got it wrong then, and we're going to get it wrong now, and I'm sorry.
And for that, we thank you.
Yes.
And thanks for being a part of this community. But in addition to that, just like a glowing lazy Susan.
All right.
I love a lazy Susan.
Yeah.
You know, it's those like little wheels that are on
I love a good
tables
lazy
that
Susan.
just kind of like go around, and you can put stuff on it. So it's like, pass me the salt, and it's on the lazy Susan. I love lazy Susans. And just like a lazy Susan, you are not lazy. You are innovative. You know how to work smarter, not harder. You are good at navigating life's twists and turns. You will prevail, no matter what. And you're really awesome. And for that, we thank you, and thanks for being a part of this community.
Thank you for jumping to a pint, Andrea S.
Andrea S., just like a show-stopping. Yeah, I don't think I've used that one.
It's a good one.
Why am I thinking millefeuille?
Because we watched...
Like the pastry?
Because we watched Bridgerton. Whoa, where did the recording go? Hello. It's back. Everything went away for a second.
Yeah, everything went dark. It was very scary.
We were watching Bridgerton, and they talked about millefeuille.
Oh, is that how you pronounce it? Millefeuille? Millefeuille?
Millefeuille would be the French, I think. Is it feuille? Oh, millefeuille, yeah.
I think so.
Feuille, like sheets.
I've also heard it pronounced on
British baking.
Great British Baking Show.
If it's Feuille, I think it'd be millefeuille.
Okay, I have no idea. I don't speak French.
Maybe. It's tough. French is fun with all the invisible letters.
Well, j'ai pas un petit peu de français.
The French are going to love this.
Un petit peu.
Un petit peu. All right.
But just like that, you have many layers, right? Doesn't it have a lot of layers?
It
Isn't
has
that part of the thing?
Ostensibly, it has 1,000.
Yeah.
Hence
it's like
mille.
a difficult... Yeah, I think they counted them on...
I'm
Great
sure
British
they
Baking
did.
Show. I think they, like, you had to have a certain amount of
Yeah,
layers.
I know it's not
so
actually
you have a lot of
1,000,
layers.
but
There's a lot to
ostensibly.
you.
Millefeuille means 1,000 sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they counted to 1,000.
I'm sure they did not.
But just like that, you have a lot of layers. There's a lot to you. You're a complicated person. There's a lot to get to know. And that makes you so interesting. You're also fancy. You know, you're someone who knows how to make a statement. You are well dressed. You are well coiffed. You know that sometimes the best things in life aren't free, and that's okay. You treat yourself. And you also, you do know how to treat yourself. And for that, we thank you. And thanks for being a part of this community.
And last but not least for today, thanks for the cup of coffee, Brian V.
Brian V, just like a chimerical slide.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. You are fun. You're just fun to be around. A crowd favorite, truly, always. You know how to embrace the simplicity of life while also being unafraid to climb the ladder to success. And for that, we thank you. And thanks for being a part of this community.
Thanks, everyone. You're all lovely. And if you're listening and skipping 30 seconds every time the patron thank yous start, I do put a timestamp down below for you to know when they end, which is right about now. We have a couple things.
Oh, somebody said that they think of it as like my horoscopes. And I think
love
that's
that.
So cute.
We have two things to address briefly from last week. One is we did a generalization last week, and that was bad of us.
Yes. I think, here's the thing. In the flow of conversation, sometimes I fail to get at the nuance that I mean to get at. Right? Because we're bouncing around.
Yes.
And obviously, I hope, and I'm thankful to the people who reached out and gave us the benefit of the doubt about this and recognized that that is unusual for us to not go into the nuance of something. So thank you for that. But so basically, I started talking about fitness influencers and, the influencers that are online that give advice about health and fitness.
Like one size fits all generalized advice about health and fitness.
Yes. And accidentally, when I was talking about the dangers of those generalizations, I did a generalization in talking about them. So
we ourselves are, in fact, part of the problem.
We are. So here's the thing. Never take health and fitness advice from us.
No.
Ever. We are not in any way like registered anything, experts in anything that has to do with health and fitness. And I always am encouraging people when it comes to health and fitness, obviously, if it works for you and it is something that is helpful to you, if there's a diet or exercise plan or time that you wake up that is a good lifestyle choice for you, that's awesome. And we celebrate that always.
Yes.
We're never meaning to put down anything ever that is working for somebody.
Yes.
Because obviously, health and fitness is a very holistic thing, right? There is no one size fits all.
Right.
We're all out here doing our best.
Everybody is different.
However, what I was meaning to go for in that conversation, and the thing that frustrates me as someone with a chronic illness, right? And this is where that's coming from, and who has a brain that is not one size fits all. I get very frustrated by some unqualified people out here giving advice as if this is the answer to everyone's problems, because I think there are people in this world that are making money off of preying on people's insecurities and desperation.
Yes.
And that is the difference to me. If there is something out there that is helpful to you, and I've certainly found, certain diets and exercises and lifestyle plans to be helpful to me. And so sometimes I will share those things as like this was helpful to me and maybe will be helpful to you, right? But never, ever, ever would I presume to tell anyone what to do with their bodies or lives.
Yes.
In that way. So just to make that clear, the only thing that I was coming for ever, and I did appreciate other people telling me like, I got where you were coming from because I too have a chronic illness, and have people go, have you tried yoga? And you just want to explode. You do. You just want to explode into a million pieces when somebody does that. But yoga is very helpful to a lot of people. Or, eliminating carbs. When I said no carbs equals no brain, what I got cut off in that conversation, not on purpose.
Right.
We were just going with the flow. And I know Gus knows what I mean. And sometimes I forget that there's a microphone there. What I meant by that is that a no carb diet is not recommended for many people, right? I had that idea of carbs being bad for me pushed at me from a young age and had to repair my relationship with carbs. And what I learned is that my body personally, when I do not eat carbs, it impairs my brain function and my body's function.
Right.
That's not true for everybody, right? But what I meant by that was not people who do not eat carbs are stupid.
Right.
Right? What I meant by that is it could, if your body is like mine, impair your body's function.
Right.
That's what I meant. Thank you to the people who reached out and were concerned about that. I hope that clears things up. Obviously, it is my bad that I phrased it so poorly. And I take full responsibility for that.
Well, and I was rushing through the conversation too.
Right.
So that's all true and our bad. And the second thing I wanted to touch on that we completely skipped over in the rush to not talk about Galena is the Shido going back to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it's now the remnant, of a remnant.
That's my read of what's going on. So Tharava's taking a handful of the surviving Shido, probably several thousand, back to the waste. And her whole thing is like, and we're never leaving again. We're going to go, we're going to stay, we're going to rebuild, we're going to be the people we used to be. I
kind of thought that at the time, but then I was thinking, well, that operates under the assumption that that's not going to be true for the rest of the Aiel. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I mean, which I guess makes sense, right? Because now, why do they need to be in the waste?
Right. It was a proving ground and all that.
Yeah, it was a place they went because it provided them some level of safety and then also punishment for what they, did.
Yeah. Or think they did.
Yeah. And, that's also assuming that, the remainder of the Aiel survived the last battle, which I hope they do. But, I feel like after that, maybe they've proven what they need to prove and don't need to go back to the waste and punish themselves for generations.
Yeah, that is my reading of what this is when we had the whole prophecy of a remnant shall remain. It is of the original society that was the Aiel and the way they functioned.
Yeah.
A sliver of a sliver
their lifestyle choice,
retain that,
if you will.
Yeah, will retain that lifestyle choice. And that remnant first would be the Shido, and then the remnant of the remnant are the Shido who survived this particular battle.
So yeah, I mean, I guess for me, that does make a lot of sense because Rand kind of went in and blew up their whole way of life, their whole thinking. And some of them are going, let's go back to the simplicity of what we knew.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess there is a comfort and safety in that. I mean, we talk about deconstruction on this podcast when it comes to Careane, right? Or the Aiel.
Yeah.
It's a really hard thing to do.
It's really fucking hard.
It's a really hard thing to do. And I really applaud anyone who's in that process. Because especially if you come from an extreme environment.
Oh, yeah. It's really, really hard.
Like, the Aiel is objectively a pretty extremist group.
Yeah. Oh, well, they're very, they're very fundamental in a lot of ways, yes.
That's not to say that they're necessarily bad or toxic.
Oh, no. It just means that they have very strong and strict beliefs.
I mean, the Shido are a lot. But, I mean, I could understand why Tharava in particular, and this group in particular, saw how the Shido behaved when the rules were kind of out the window, or they were making the rules kind of work for them in a bad way. And went, you know what? It was better before.
Yeah.
It was better before. We have...
Minnie, Minnie, sweet thing. You can't be here. You can't be right there brushing your tail against the microphone. Me. I'm sorry. You can't do it.
But she loves me. Okay.
It's going to
be over here.
Well, okay.
All right. So I feel like, their whole thing became objectively very bad.
Yeah.
Because they kind of lost the plot. They kind of were like, well, I guess there are no rules now, and we're going to follow the way we were, but we're going to make it so much worse for no reason.
Yeah.
So while I don't like Tharava, because
No.
I feel like her relationship with Galena is
Really bad.
really awful.
Yes.
I feel like that her ability to see the fact that they have become the baddies and that she needs to reverse course with who she can save
Yeah.
is, understandable.
Yeah.
And not, that's the not bad thing that she's done, I suppose.
That's the main one.
That's the relationship with Galena, bad, toxic, and I hate it. Balloon it.
Yeah.
But if we're looking at it without Galena,
Yeah.
I understand why she's doing it.
Yeah.
Because
doing this.
I suppose there is such thing as deconstruction in a bad way.
Yes.
Right? Like you can deconstruct too close to the sun.
Well, and that's a little bit Aram too, right?
I mean,
Bad deconstruction.
Yeah, I guess that is the complicated, nuanced thing about deconstruction that we've never really talked about on this podcast, is that like there is deconstruction for your benefit and there's deconstruction to your detriment. And unfortunately, there's not really always a way to tell which is which. I think partially it's like when you're at those vulnerable periods in your life and you're searching for those mentors for who to be, like you've realized that the life that you thought you had, to quote Maureen in season 1 of the show, your life isn't going to be what you thought. When you realize that the fundamental principles that your life is founded on are built on sand instead of rock, to quote the Bible. I didn't go to Catholic school. But I do love that parable, right? Yeah. About the wise man and the foolish man. And you realize that everything is built on sand. I think kind of the make or break it point is who you encounter after that. What mentors you seek out and whether they're able to.
Yeah. What you fill that
void with. Yeah. Because I think everybody needs a guiding principle of some kind. Like, congrats if you are a person that is like, I'm just out here freeballing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I think that's a tough
a guiding principle can be as simple as be chill.
Try to
do good stuff.
Do good things. Yeah. In this life. Try to leave the world a little better than you found it is kind of where I've landed. And that can be in small and large ways. But often very small.
Yeah.
I think you have to find a way to find a new path. And I think that's the time you are the most vulnerable for other toxic mindsets.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, that void makes you vulnerable to other people who claim to have the answers. And I think some of the most dangerous people are the people who are like, I have it all figured out.
Yes. Well, I don't remember. Is this Socrates?
Because I'm just like, impossible.
Socrates is like the wisest man is a man who knows he knows nothing. That's also been, cribbed.
I think scientifically proven,
that was
or psychologically proven also, right? But
I don't know.
There's the expert fallacy or whatever it's called, where it's like,
oh God, Bader-Meinhof? No, that's different. That's when you recognize something that you haven't. You learn a new thing and then you see it everywhere as Bader-Meinhof.
Yeah, but it's like the people who
think they know the most about something usually don't.
Well, they're usually like the people who have a middling grasp on it.
Yeah, people who actually do know a lot about things usually, whatever. Yeah.
Usually feel insecure and like they don't know a lot about it. So actually, if you are feeling like I'm out here in this field feeling imposter syndrome and all this stuff, it might be that you actually know more.
Could be.
Because you know what you don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the Shido. Now we're going to take a real quick break and we're going to talk about your friend and mine, Careane. We'll be right back. Right back. We're back. How you doing, Allie?
All right, here's the thing. I am okay with being wrong about things.
Yes.
I am. And I'm not mad at how this turned out. I just really liked my theory, I think. because I felt like it. Here's the thing. I think Robert Jordan and I disagreed on how important Vandene was going to ultimately be.
Yeah.
To the overall plot.
Yeah.
I think when there is a mystery, for me, that is something that I latch onto really hard.
Yes.
In any media.
Well, especially when the POV character is consistently pondering the mystery.
Like, I think that's part of the reason I love Bridgerton so much. Is
Yes.
like the Who Was Lady Whistledown was a great
season, yes.
in for me.
Yes.
Because I like that kind of. It's like I'm like a dog with a bone on that.
Well, and Robert Jordan also frequently does engage hard with the mystery of things.
Yeah, I think he does. And so it's interesting because I think that Robert Jordan and I disagreed on how much of a mystery this was going to be and how like important to the plot this is going to be. And that's fine.
Well, and how important thematically it was going to be.
Right. And
right?
I think I was thinking of it from a perspective of like what would be the most compelling to me if we were going to give this a ton of weight. Which for me, an old lady death, a cool dramatic old lady death, I either wanted, which I did ultimately get, cool old lady revenge.
Yes.
Which I did ultimately get.
A gift from Adelius or Adelius is a great line.
It was.
It's a great line.
And so I'm cool with that as a sibling, where I'm like, if something ever happened to one of my siblings, the person would rue the day.
Mm-hmm.
I am sad that she died immediately after.
Instantaneously afterwards, yes.
I think I was picturing it to be more of an explosive thing one way or the other. Whereas I think that the focus for Robert Jordan was Elayne in this situation, which I suppose is the correct instinct since Elayne is a main character.
Yeah.
I think I just got really excited about the possibility of like an old lady either being the person that had to kill her sister because she was a baddie, in which case like now we're really getting into the complexity of what we saw with like Leandrin in the show.
Yeah, and Ingtar in the book.
And Ingtar in the book.
Yeah.
Which I think I also wanted that Ingtar feeling again.
Yeah. Well, because that's such a great moment.
It's such a great moment, and it really supports Robert Jordan's thesis and the complexity of sometimes life just hands us a bad hand, and there are two bad choices. And sometimes we accidentally, because it's hard in certain lights to see which one's the worst choice, we make the worst choice because we can't see the full path.
Yeah.
You know, and so I like that. Because I think that Robert Jordan does have this whole thing of like, you're never too far gone. And sometimes what looks like a bad person can have more complexity. And I guess at this time period that we're in, the complexity of situations is speaking to me.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Like just our ability to maybe see that a lot of people are just trying their best in the world.
Well, it's almost like we engage with hot nuance on this podcast.
Oh yeah, and there's certainly things where it's like, this is a thing that's objectively bad, and this is a person that's done enough objectively bad things that we can, you know, or big enough objectively bad things that we can be like, that's an objectively bad person.
Right.
Right. But I think a lot of people fall within a spectrum of, you know, being taken advantage of or, making a bad call.
That's what you wanted to see interplay with Vandene.
Yeah. And I thought maybe that's where we were going. And I think I fell in love with that theory in a way, because to me, it encapsulated that. And so I was a little like, oh, when it turned out to be Careane, it doesn't mean that it wasn't good writing or anything like that. I think I just fell in love with my theory.
Yeah, and I mean, even in the lead up, like listening to the chapter again, you've got the whole thing where Elayne is in a circle with Saritha, and Vandene is in a circle with Careane, and there's all this stuff in her head of like, well, I know Vandene's good, so therefore two good sisters have a hold on two bad sisters. I do think there were a lot of opportunities for Robert Jordan to pull it in that direction. And actually, you know, I was looking at the old forums. Vandene was the leading suspect.
Really?
Vandene was the leading suspect. Because everybody was like, Careane, I guess she's weaker, so she would have to use the T. Saritha acted kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess for me, I wasn't particularly attached to either character. So the reveal of it being Careane did not matter to me.
No.
But Vandene getting her revenge then was the thing that mattered more.
Yeah, it's a good moment.
It's a good moment.
It's a cool moment.
Yeah. Well, because I guess I was like, you can go down one of two paths. Either way, Vandene kind of has to be centered in this. You can either go down the path of Vandene did it, which now I kind of wonder if maybe he
swerved. Possible. Because I think the justification now for why did she poison her is she wasn't as strong in the power, therefore she had to use the tea.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah. And I guess the other rationale or evidence for it being Careane is Careane has served tea to people before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that all makes sense. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, it makes sense. It's
mad at it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I guess who did it was not as important as it was to me.
I mean, I'll be real. I like your version more. I think it's a lot more interesting. I think it has a lot more
sweet of you. I don't want to like
weight. And I'm not saying Robert Jordan didn't do a good job. I'm just saying this wasn't what he was concerned with as much.
Yeah.
So
I think if he were concerned with this being a more central plot point than it ended up being, right? Then either he does what I thought he was going to do, or I guess amp up the personalities of Careane and Saritha a bit more.
Yeah.
But
then we're arguing
still got badass old lady moment.
Then we're arguing for more time with minor characters in the middle books.
Yeah, but I would have been okay with more time on this.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is I was like, I would have been okay with more time spent on this mystery.
Yeah.
Because I liked it so much.
Well, and it's interesting. And we've known Adelius and Vandene for a very, very long time. We've known this since book 2.
Right.
And we've been working on this mystery since book 8, I think, is when Adelius died.
The Drakkar being there, I mean, I felt like the seeds were planted. I don't necessarily care that they didn't come to fruition. I'm glad we got a badass old lady moment. I was kind of expecting more of a bigger fight between the if the reveal happened, I was kind of expecting more of a back and forth, more of an old lady magic battle versus taking her out with a dagger. But I guess Robert Jordan also really likes doing the this is the thing you wouldn't expect. The, utilization of swords or a plate or a knife.
Well, and they were shielded at that point.
Yeah. So I guess, I do love the energy of I'm taking you out with me.
Yeah.
If I'm going out.
You're going out
I love that. And I do love that we've given an old lady, because I feel like old women get so ignored.
Yeah.
Even just older women over 35, honestly, get so ignored in narratives that it's pretty thrilling to me to have an older woman have such a big moment. I guess I just wanted more of her.
I would have also liked more of it. Yeah,
I guess I just wanted more, which is fine.
Listen, if we're going to be levying a criticism, I wanted to read more of it is usually a pretty good one.
That's a good, leave us wanting more, I guess, Robert.
So we're going to pick it up here with Chapter 31, The House on Full Moon Street. That's the logo. What is it?
It's a Black Aja logo.
Black Aja logo. We were in the car, and you were very motion sick, so you didn't take notes.
I did not, no.
And we've discussed a lot of the significant elements of this chapter, but don't worry, we'll talk about the rest. And we're probably going to do all 3 chapters today. We might have to cut it midway through for time. I know we did 3 hours last week. We cannot do that every week anymore, unfortunately. But there you go. So it's Elayne chapter.
Mm-hmm.
How's she?
She is fine. She has a plan.
Yeah. And you know what? We can talk about the whole arc of these 3 chapters a little bit.
Which is nice.
Getting into which real fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
different from how I remember it.
I think it's funny that we have a lot of women captive plot lines the past 3 books.
Yes.
Or the past few books.
Yes.
Right? So I thought it was funny that Fail just became uncaptured.
And then Elayne
got
you were
captured.
Like, oh my God, how long is this going to last?
Because so my thought process was either this gets resolved this book.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was like, all right, well, this could be just a climactic moment for Elayne's plotline in this book, in which case this gets resolved pretty quickly because we're running out of time. Or I was like, it's like the duration of Elayne's pregnancy.
Yeah.
That was the other thought I had, because I was like, we have this whole thing about, okay, she's not going to be harmed during the pregnancy because the babies and she will be fine. And I was like, but there's like a lot of, she goes, we're all going to survive this pregnancy. That's the viewing that Min had, right?
We
Is that
three.
the specific wording?
You will give birth to two. I think it's like they will be born healthy. You'll have two healthy babies.
So she's like, so
therefore,
by that logic,
I'm gonna be okay until they come to term.
And
It's her rationale.
And I,
but we've talked about, like, you can give birth in a dungeon.
So much nuance.
You
that
can
she's
give
missing.
birth missing your legs. You can have an involuntary C-section. Any number of things could happen.
That's one of the things I'm worried about. Is like, are we setting her up? Because I just don't believe that Rand and all of his wives survive.
Now you've said that, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think all of the Two Rivers kids survive.
You've said that too.
Yeah. So I'm concerned about this. I think, and I'm worried about Lan because he's the doomed warrior archetype.
That is kind of his whole bag.
Yeah, and the doomed warrior archetype doesn't always die, but often they do. So I was kind of like, okay, is this going to be a whole pregnancy issue? And now we've got, her being held with her babies. I mean, what a great pawn for them to have.
Very
So
good.
I was stressed out. I was really stressed out because I was kind of like, are they going to have her captive this whole time? I was stressed.
And the answer is no.
The answer
is she
no.
She gets saved next chapter.
She does get saved next chapter. But I was stressed out for these 3 chapters.
So
I was really sad that Vandene died.
she has, me too. She has a number of meetings. The kin kind of quibble about who's in charge. And then Duhara, what is it? Basaheen comes in. Remember her?
No.
Duhara Basaheen. Yes. Red Aja. She's like, what up?
Oh, yeah.
I'm here to be your advisor.
She sucks.
Suck my dick. And Elayne is like, leave.
No.
And she's like, maybe you should go fuck yourself. Also, once you finally get on the throne, guess what's gonna happen? We're gonna take your ass back to the tower.
And then paddle your ass for, okay, so she's like, Elida will forgive you for leaving.
Yeah, because Swan.
Because Swan told you to.
But everything else, we're gonna smack the shit out of you.
But you pretending to be Aes Sedai, we're going to make you cry over that.
Yeah, and Elayne is like...
And I was just like, first of all, she's the freaking queen of Andor.
Well, but it's the whole thing, right? The Amerlin seat makes thrones tremble and all that.
Yeah, but I just don't feel like the opening to work with me goes over well when you're also like, but we're also going to beat the shit out of you.
Smack your ass like a drum. Yeah.
I just feel like this could have been handled. I'm like, where is the Grey Aja here? Where are they?
So then she leaves, and then maid Denny shows up and is like, hey, Halwyn Nori wants to talk.
She cannot get a moment to herself.
No. And
this is my nightmare.
She's up late, pregnancy issues and all that. Halwyn Nori busts in. How's he?
Stressed out because something went wrong.
No, he's excited. He brought Hark back. Remember that creepy guy from like 8 chapters ago who was like, hey, I didn't rob the people. I'm fine. And Elayne was like, you're a fucking cut person. We could either hang you or we could...
Or you go after David Hanlon.
Drive you directly into the wall that is David Hanlon.
And Hark survived that.
Hark made it out. Although, I don't know, man. It kind of seems like they let him make it out. Right?
That could be, yes.
Yeah. So Hark comes in, Nori comes in.
This is all very suspicious that he survived, actually, yeah.
He goes, I followed him like you said, my lady, and he's been to the same house 3 nights, counting this one. It's on Full Moon Street in the new city, it is. Only place he ever goes except taverns and common rooms.
Yeah, this is sorry, I was like very motion sick during this part.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is totally a trap.
He drinks some, he does. Dices a lot, too.
The man hesitated, dry washing his hands.
I can go now, all right, my lady? You'll take off whatever it was you put on me?
And they learn that Lady Cheyenne owns the house, and...
Well, I don't know if they lives there, my lady, but there's 2 Aes Sedai there tonight. I saw one of them letting Mellar out while the other was coming in, and the one who was coming in said, a pity there are only two of us, Phalian.
No, that's so obvious. Oh, no.
The way Lady Cheyenne works us. Only she said lady like she didn't mean it. She did. Funny, she was carrying a stray cat. Thing scrawny as she was. Begging your pardon, my lady. Didn't mean no offense. Speaking of an Aes Sedai that way, but it took me a minute to realize she was Aes Sedai. It did. There was a good lad from the entry hall. There was, but she was so plain and thin, with a wide nose, that nobody could take her for an Aes Sedai without some study.
And Elayne is like, fuck yeah, man. Hell yeah. We got him right where we want him. And yeah, when in hindsight...
Yeah, this was a bad idea.
Marilyn Gamalfin announcing Phalian's name to... They'd be like, it's good to see you again, Allie, who I live with.
Oh, yeah, no, the thing about dialogue is that, when you write dialogue, is that people don't say each other's names very often. Almost ever. Unless they're really trying to emphasize a point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We say each other's names on the podcast to differentiate from addressing y'all, oftentimes.
But, yeah, most people don't say each other's names very often in a conversation between the two of them. That's very suspicious.
Yes. And her going...
And Robert Jordan would know that. So
totally
this is all very on purpose, yeah.
A pity there are only two of us.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't be more obvious that there were more of them. I don't feel... Yeah, I was pretty stressed out during this entire chapter.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I think this is a trap.
Oh, and also Phalian, in the course of the same conversation, apparently called her Marilyn.
Yeah.
So they announced both of their names.
Yeah. Elayne, here's what's realistic about this. Elayne is very young.
Oh, God, yeah.
And saw an opportunity dangling in front of her and was so excited about the opportunity that she didn't think it through as much as I think she should have.
Yeah.
I also think that this thing about, like, you will be fine until babies come, like, even though she doesn't really talk about that in this chapter.
She doesn't. That's,
I think that is messing with her brain a little bit. I think it is making her make more reckless decisions than she might normally.
Now, let me real quick tell you, I completely misremembered this part. Because in my memory, she thinks about the babies thing and the prophecy and we'll all be okay the entire time. She mentioned it once in the 3rd chapter after she is captured.
Yeah. But I think that just because she doesn't mention it, right,
doesn't mean it's not
factoring into the equation. I feel like she is also desperate for a win in her mind.
Oh, yeah.
I have made some silly decisions before because I am excited about something, right? You get someone excited enough, especially someone this young, they might not see the forest for the trees. And I think that was their calculus.
In the past, I have been very hard on Elayne for this. But re-listening to it this time, I'm like, it's a little dumb, but it's not nearly as dumb as I remembered. I was very unfair previously. I think that, does she walk into a trap a little bit? Sure.
But I think that
it's no worse than any of the traps that Rand has walked into, of which there are about 700.
No, I don't. I think they have. Well, I mean, the girls all walked into a trap at the Stone of Tyr, too.
Yeah, everybody has walked into many traps.
Yeah, I feel like they've all walked into traps. Part of it is, I feel, this attempt on Robert Jordan's part, which I appreciate. I think some of the things that have happened to them in the past few chapters is Robert Jordan's attempt to also make us feel Moraine's absence.
Yeah.
Right? Like, some of their silly decision-making is because they are young and they're lacking the person that was kind of most guiding them. I mean, they have Vandene and Sarita and Careane, and all of whom are kind of like, we don't think it's a good idea and we don't want to go. But because of the Adelius incident, Elayne is not really willing to trust any of them.
Right. Well,
with
just
that
Vandene.
decision.
Yeah.
What?
Just Vandene. She'll trust Vandene.
She'll trust Vandene. But we haven't seen a lot of Elayne leaning on Vandene in any way. Her mentor right now is Not Colivir. What's her name?
Dylan.
Dylan's been Elayne's mentor.
Yeah. And
Brigitte tells her not to go.
Brigitte tells her, bring me with you. And Elayne is like, that is dumb as fuck. What are you going to do?
That is fair and probably saved Brigitte's life.
Now, it's tough, because on the one hand, we often chastise these characters for not bringing guards, right? Rand and the Maidens. On the other hand, in this instance, what the fuck is she gonna do?
That's my thing. It's complicated, right? Because on the one hand, why does Gandalf need a bodyguard?
Yeah. Like we also talk about in magic battles, leave the maidens out of it. Yes.
Yeah. But in battles, where there are other people who are not magic trying to get at you also and trying to get at all your people, leaving the maidens behind feels like a dumb decision.
Yeah.
Considering they are badass warrior women who want to fight.
Yes.
But yeah, if Rand were going to go face down Samael and Daemon Dread, why would you bring the maidens? That's kind of the difference for me. But if Daemon Dread and Samael also showed up with an army, why would you leave the maidens behind?
Yeah.
Because that just makes it possible for when you're not paying attention, someone to launch an arrow at your ass. Because you can still, as Vandene shows, die by the blade, die by a stray arrow. That can still happen. And so you do need the maidens watching your back. And that's when I do understand why it's all the nuance, right? Because I know Gandalf has like Aragorn and stuff, but they're not like his official bodyguards, right? They're also there.
They're the Fellowship.
And they're fighting.
Gandalf is quite famously, the Astari generally are quite famously lone wanderer. Well, I guess the blue ones, not really. The blue ones hang out in pairs.
I didn't know there were blue ones.
Yeah, there are blue wizards, brown wizards, gray wizards,
oh, wow,
white
this
wizard.
really is Lord of the Rings, isn't it, in some ways?
A little bit, but they're also
Inspired.
only like, I think, there's only like 15 Astari or something like that. There's not many. There's Radagast the Brown, Saruman, Gandalf. I think there's like 4 blue wizards, but they're off doing other stuff.
Sure.
It's been a long time since I've read the Silmarillion.
But I guess my thing, right, is that I don't necessarily mind the bodyguard thing, except for I'm like, it just seems to be the women.
Yeah, we've
Right.
I mean, we've touched on
we
this,
talked
right?
about that. But then I'm like, I do understand though the necessity of having a bodyguard because of the stray bullet thing that can still happen.
Oh yeah.
Right? I get that part where it's like you're busy dealing with the magic fight. I'll deal with the fight and we'll kind of come back in. Like I see the advantages when you see Lan and Moraine fight together in like the 2 rivers, right? You see it. You're like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense why that is a thing. But in this particular instance, where it's just magic on magic, it does not make sense to bring Brigitte. She's just there to get killed then, I think.
So
what is she going to do? Stab him?
Hark tells Elayne about this, and Elayne starts like twerking. She's very excited. She's dancing. And she's like, all right, you're going to lead us there.
The dancing part is very relatable.
And we're going to check it out.
Yeah, okay. This is another thing. I'm not sure. I think pregnant women are amazing and can do whatever they want. At the same time, I'm like, girl, you are pregnant with twins. Perhaps punt this to someone else to take care of.
We could use a little bit of, Star Trek The Next Generation logic here. The captain doesn't lead the away party.
I think particularly when you are pregnant with twins.
And the weaves are buttered noodles.
You are specifically having a hard time. And listen, the infantilization of pregnant women is real. And I get it. At the same time, it is a pretty intense medical condition.
Yeah.
It's simultaneously one of those things where you're like, you don't want to infantilize the brains and the minds of and the capabilities of pregnant women. But at the same time, you're like, but should you be lifting heavy boxes? It is a medical condition.
Yeah, but careful and all that.
Potentially disabling medical condition.
Yeah. Well, and also, notably, magically,
both things can be true.
Magically, she is somewhat
disabled by this.
Effective, yes.
Let's be honest. Yes. She is disabled by this.
Because it's kind of like a coin toss. Now, here's the fun thing. What I kind of like, Rand is also going through this a little bit with the projectile vomiting whenever he grabs the source.
Right. And I have questioned in the past his willingness to throw himself into things, considering he's the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
Does it always have to be you?
So we're going to keep talking about this right after these ads. Welcome back.
And then to talk about the complexities of this once again, I do also, though, believe that if you're asking people to go do dangerous things for you, you should also be willing to do said dangerous things. It's complex.
It's tough. Well, like, Brigitte shows up and she's like, what the fuck are we doing? And then Vandene walks in and goes, what harebrained, cracked-pated scheme are you talking about, Brigitte?
See, and I think the fact that so many people think this is a bad plan makes me go, maybe we reconsider that this may be a really bad plan. I mean, these Black Aja sisters, and this is what's complicated for me. On the one hand, very obvious plan.
Trap, yeah.
Right? Very obvious trap. You're pregnant. Everyone's telling you this is a very obvious trap. But I do also understand and get the reluctance during all of this other crap that's happening, going, why don't we not just leave them there, have them acquire a, balefire stick or whatever, and come for us?
Well, I think part of it is they haven't yet.
I get that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean they won't.
Yeah, but it's also sort of, now we know where they are, and where they have been for at least 3 days running. It stands to reason they're probably not going to leave.
Why do we reason that?
Because the estate
that?
is owned by Lady Cheyenne. I don't know. It's like they've been going there consistently for several days running. There are multiple Aes Sedai there, and Mellar is going there. I don't know. I think it stands to reason they're not going to relocate if they don't think they've been found.
I guess.
Or at least not this very evening.
But there's also no guarantee that they won't rally their numbers and come attack.
That's true.
They know where they are, too. The palace. It's the most obvious place in Camelot.
Yeah, but I guess my thoughts on that are they could have attacked any time in the last 3 months, or however long it's been.
Yeah, yeah, but that doesn't mean they won't. I mean, that could just mean they've been preparing to do that for 3 months.
I agree. I'm just saying I don't think there would be any harm in waiting until tomorrow.
Probably not. But why wait till tomorrow?
Well, because it's like 4 a.m.
What advantage will tomorrow bring?
A little more time to plan.
But conversely, it also potentially gives time for the fact that she knows that they're there to somehow get out.
That's true, especially if Careane found out ahead of time.
Right? That's the thing. It's like her acting immediately makes it so that there's no possibility of this information getting back to those people. So I get why she jumps on this. I do. Was it kind of dumb? I mean, hindsight's 20/20. Foresight is also 20/20 in this instance. But I think her assumption was like, well, I know I'm going to be fine. So if I come for them at this moment in time and I'm the one who surprises them, then I get to take out something that has been a looming threat, that has probably been stressful, that could be a weak point within the city as I am being attacked from without.
Yeah. So Vandene is actually into this. She thinks it's a good idea. Brigitte hates it. Saritha and Careane hate it. Ultimately, they bring...
And she was kind of hoping their reactions to this would reveal something, but they both
opposed.
Yeah, they both were opposed.
They bring 50 guards women along with them, plus all the warders. They don't go in the house, obviously, but
Again, what are they going to do, though?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I feel like they needed to bring all the Aes Sedai they could.
JM doesn't even sneak. He just walks into the street to take a look, and Elayne's like, what the fuck? And Vandene is like, it'd be way more suspicious if he were sneaking. He's doing the put on a hard hat, carry a clipboard, and get a reflector vest thing. Act like you belong.
Yeah. Act like you're just there checking out the real estate.
Elayne links with Saritha. Vandene links with Careane. Brigitte's like, I don't like this. And Elayne is like, I don't care. But yeah, they go in.
I feel like Brigitte and Elayne's relationship is so hard for Brigitte.
Yeah, of course it is.
Brigitte, she's been made head of the guard, right? Which is something she didn't even want in the first place. She was kind of woke up one day and found out that she was somebody's warder, which is kind of rough. Her whole life, has been kind of taken from her at this point. She was punted out of being a hero of the Horn, now might never reunite with Guido Kane. And now she's linked forever with, or for as long as she's alive, to this gal who is like 20 years old, making at times interesting decisions. Will not listen to her, no matter what. Now she's also getting a side dose of pregnancy hormones she never asked for. Brigitte has the rawest deal in the book so far.
It's interesting because you would think that this would call up memories for Elayne of, like, Galad. Because Brigitte and Elayne, to me, feels like a much older sister, much younger sister dynamic.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. The amount of stress that she feels over the decisions her younger sister is making when she's like, I have so much experience in this stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just going to go disregarding.
Yep.
I'm going to do my own shit. Yeah, it is an older sister, younger sister dynamic.
So they go in. Millie Skane is in there chatting with Phalion and Marilyn, and they just jump them. They just fucking pop in and shield them and grab them. And Millie Skane goes, "What is the meaning of this? I recognize you. You're Elayne Tricand, the daughter heir, but that gives you no right to invade my home."
Okay, so Millie Skane recognizes Elayne.
Yes.
But no one ever fucking recognizes Morghese.
And assault me. And Elayne is like, "What up? Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now."
I think the most painful thing for me always is when the plan is going so well and then they get just the rug swept out from under them.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, they get like excited and they're cocky and you're like, yay, a victory for you. And then it's like a staggering loss of control, actually.
So then they get electrocuted by something and they're like, oh, fuck. And they get shielded. She would have shouted if she could have, if she thought that Brigitte and the others could do more than die. 4 women Elayne recognized.
I mean, I
entered the
guess
room.
they can.
Asni Zeramene and Tamaila Kinderode, Chesmal fucking Emery, and Eldrith Jondar. 4 black sisters. She could have wept. Saritha groaned softly. And they're like, what the
I love this switch. I feel like, it's a good turnabout. I think, what I'm just really hoping is that Elayne writes like the nicest apology letter to Brigitte after this. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would like for her to just realize that she needs to start listening to people when they tell her Elayne is the queen of bad ideas. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. Let's go there. You know what? Elayne was a fucking idiot this chapter. I get where she's coming from at the same time. But I just feel like, well, I don't know. This one's complicated for me. She's like simultaneously was a fucking idiot because here's what I wish she had done. Here's the thing. I wish she had recognized that this was an obvious trap.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't think she really did. I wish she had gone in her mind, and this is not me saying this about Robert. This is me saying this about Elayne as a character. I'm like, girl, you need to get wiser really fast. You can't be drinking strange people's tea anymore. We're not at that point anymore where we can be like, let's walk willy-nilly into these traps. All Wilson Nilsson.
It's funny because actually the Red Aja woman from earlier specifically does bring up Rhonda Makira.
I know. And she keeps making these decisions where I go, we need to understand that there are people trying to get you even more now that the pregnancy news is out. And I mean, I'm sorry, the first person we're going to assume is that it's Rans. You two are seen making out in every corner of the Stone of Tyr. You think that hasn't gotten back to people?
Yeah.
That's why they say that she's such a valuable target, right?
That's part of it.
Otherwise, I mean, yeah, I
daughter
guess
heir. I mean,
daughter heir, but I mean,
Rand is a huge part of it. And everybody thinks they're Rands.
They have to know, right?
Yeah.
Like the David Hanlon thing. Well, first of all, I'm sure that they have talked to David Hanlon. They're like, did you knock up the daughter heir Vandor? And he's like, no.
He's being coy about it because he likes...
To the Dark Friends?
Probably. He's an asshole.
What purpose would that serve?
All I'm saying is Charles Gaibon is right there.
He'd be directly fucking them over. Like if...
No, I know. I agree with you. I'm just saying Charles Gaibon is right there being completely unproblematic.
Which one's Charles Gaibon?
He's the guy who's named after a real dude who is just, he shows up and he's like, what up? I brought like 900,000 men.
Yes,
how you doing? Do you
Charles
guys need
Gaiwan.
any help?
I feel like that's so funny because when I read that, I was like, this isn't a real person. I looked at the last name Gaiban and I was like, did he just really go like, Guy?
It's
Bond.
Charles Gabon is a real person.
That's so funny.
It's
I was
a
like,
fantasized
that's a
version
very
of his
fake
name.
I just decided that was such a fake name.
No, Charles Gabon is explicitly based on a
That's
real
hilarious.
person whose wife bid to have a character named after
That's
him.
hilarious. I love that.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it and was like, that's the fakest name I've seen. That
Charles.
feels like Pan Potson.
I'm so glad Penn Potson gets brought up so often.
But
That is a desert in Malazan.
yeah, but you go, oh, so he was sitting in his kitchen. He went Pan Pot Son. Yeah, there you go. What was I talking about?
You were calling Elayne an idiot.
Well, okay, but I'm like,
It's funny. We had opposite react because I read something like, oh, she's way smarter than I thought she was about this. And you're
on
like,
the
she's
one
a
hand-
fucking
Well,
dumbass.
No. I think the dumbass part of this was not realizing that this wasn't. I don't think it was dumb to immediately go there because I'm like, then it doesn't give them any chance to prepare.
No.
Which is good. I thought that part was smart. Like, don't give them any chance because now they know that he's come back and told her this stuff. So like, well, she's going to come eventually, right?
Yeah.
But the immediacy I thought was smart. I wish that she had gone, but this is an obvious trap, so let's make some contingency plans
Yes, that would have been good.
for that. I think
Fallbacks would have been good.
I think
I 100% agree with
acknowledging
you
that
there.
this was a clear trap would have been a good thing to do. I think if she had taken 2 more seconds to think about it.
Yeah, and I think you probably, to be fair, could have mobilized more of the guard to, like, cordon off a perimeter.
Well, like, why do we have to go in the house? Why do we have to go in the house? Why not just blow up the house?
There might be other people in the house. Perfectly good house. You can't just
Blow
start
up the
murdering
house.
people.
Blow up the house. Murder people. Like, no, I go,
She doesn't want to kill them. She wants to arrest them.
do you have to see people to shield them?
Yes. You need to see anything to channel. That's part of why
I
Elayne
just
can't
feel
channel
like
later. This
we
chapter.
should have doorways and corners it.
Yes. No, look, there should have been any significant degree of scouting and reconnoitering done ahead of time, but they're also like, oh, this dude apparently has eyes in the back of his ass, and if we get a scout within 300 feet of him, they die immediately.
Which I get that part. I get that part.
Hi, Minnie.
My only thing is I wish, could we have done like the tiniest peephole gateway to spy on the house?
I think that there are a lot of
Tiny
ways
peephole gateway.
that we could have done this more cleverly. I agree with you there. I think that the lack of backup and contingency plan was quite badly done.
I just wish, okay, I liked that they shielded them immediately. Great. We have them. Let's explore the rest of the house. Let's anticipate that there might be more than just 2, considering they made a point to say that there were only 2 of them in front of the spy. Why would they talk so loudly about that? I don't know. I think the immediacy was correct. I think we should have taken 2 more seconds to go, what if this is something they want us to do? And we're being dumb walking into a trap.
I agree.
It's hard because the more people you mobilize,
Yeah, the more visibility there is.
The more
yeah.
visibility there is, the more that this could leak out. I don't know. I don't think she was an idiot. I should rephrase.
Could have been better.
We could have
Like-
finessed this a smidge more.
I think this reminds me most of that time when Rand was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go clear up this whole fucking Careane and rebellion in the woods thing, because I'm having a real good day. Taviren's on my side, I'm just gonna bust in and be like, hello, Caroline Damodred. This is what that reminds me of, except I do actually think Elayne is being smarter about it than Rand was.
Which part was that? When was this?
When Fane stabbed him the second time and the evil fog showed up.
That was a very obvious trap as well.
That wasn't even a trap. That wasn't a trap. Rand just like walked into the enemy camp like, hello, my name is Band Al Gore.
That was a choice that he did make.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think Elayne was much smarter in this moment than Rand was in that one. I think, though, her inability to anticipate the trappiness of this.
Badly
it's
done.
that thing of like, when you hear something that's too good to be true, it kind of is.
Yes.
And I think in that way she failed to make any kind of contingent. Like, could they have not? I mean, Vandene's been spending all this time with these, what are they, knitting circle the kin gals?
Yeah.
Maybe we could have brought some of them along.
That'd be good.
And had them wait outside.
That'd be good.
Because we brought all these guards and shit who are going to be fundamentally useless in this situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they do come through.
More, at the cost of hundreds of lives.
Which, could we not have just brought the kin in? And dropped the kin on
Brigitte
them?
also does specifically set it up so that the soldiers walk directly into a meat grinder so that the sea folk will feel bad and help. Which I have thoughts. A little bit. I understand why she did it. I don't totally disagree with it.
Don't we have evidence to suggest that the kin are completely not bad? Like they're not.
As far as we know, the Black Aja had no knowledge of the kin. However, the kin also don't really know combat weaves.
Do they know how to shield?
Yes. And that is very true that all the sea folk really do. They drop one lightning bolt on Asni, and then they shield and gag everyone else.
Yeah. I think we could have anticipated the trappiness. We know Vandene has been spending a lot of time with the kin, right? And she was suspicious to me, but their leader just got murdered by probably Black Aja, so they're going to be inclined to help. They already have been inclined to help. If you're Aes Sedai, they want to help. So
I think that's part of the concern is that they won't be able to attack the Black Aja Aes Sedai because but they're Aes Sedai. Because in the past, when they did the 5-6 story house thing, they were like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Admittedly, that was 4 books ago.
That was 4 books ago, and their leader was still alive.
Yes.
Their leader had not been killed by Black Aja.
Yes.
I feel like and Nynaeve didn't have a come to Jesus with them about the fact that they don't need to listen to Aes Sedai all the time.
Yeah, I think they absolutely.
Granted, I don't know if that was this group.
Yeah, it was.
It was. Okay, so their attitude has to have shifted a little. All you need to do is do a little rallying cry of like, all we're looking to do is shield them.
Yeah.
And take them captive.
Yeah,
And then I think you go in with like you basically do exactly the same. It'd be the Spider-Man meme, right? You do the exact same thing they wanted to do, which was because I think the context of what their plan was is there. Like, say really loudly to one, because we know that David Hanlon knows that Elayne is having him followed.
Yes.
It stands to reason then that anything that this spy is able to pick up might have been on purpose. So even if it weren't, right, I feel like it would take like 10 seconds, like 10 extra minutes to mobilize all the kin, right? We take 10 extra minutes to go grab them as quickly as possible, right? We give them the 411. We say our plan is this group of like 3 or 4, however many, 4, go in. They see that the daughter heir is there. They're excited because they think their trap has been sprung. Worst case scenario, we've mobilized you for no reason, right? Best case scenario, they have more come in and do this little oopsie daisy trap. You all come in and do the exact same oopsie daisy trap.
Don't the kin also have a woman who is specifically really, really good at shields?
Yes, the one that can stretch the shields.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I'm like, why aren't we using her? The toys are there. The chess pieces are there. I think that she needed to take this, and this is true of a lot of people, right? They go on their first impulse.
Yeah.
And yes, we did need to go tonight.
Here's another thing, by the way. Careane, when she's like, we shouldn't do this, she goes, I've never been called a coward, but I don't fancy trying to sneak up on someone who might have a rod that can make balefire.
That's valid.
And Elayne goes, he could hardly have misheard something as simple as there are only 2 of us. And they spoke as if they didn't expect any others. Yeah.
But in this case, you don't even need the Windfinders. And if you do need the Windfinders, then you go to them and you go, I'll make an additional deal, whatever it is.
They don't really even talk about... I think part of... Well, because I'm trying to figure out...
Here's what you do. You say to the Windfinders, we'll give you these people as teachers. Like, and you can do unto them... the
Black Aja?
Yeah, you do unto them what we did to Megiddian.
That'd be rough. Doable, but rough.
Well, I mean, Perrin just did that with the freaking Shido. I guess we're not above war crimes. I saw this great TikTok about House of the Dragon, where it was like, It's not about who's right or who's wrong or team this or team that. It's about who's your favorite war criminal. And I think that's true of the Wheel of Time as well.
Yeah.
This applies. Because at this point, we're all war criminals, right? It's about who's your favorite war criminal. And Elayne is one of my favorite war criminals. And so therefore...
Yeah.
Because I think the meat grinder thing was not the solution to this problem.
Well, it's rough.
It's terrible. It's needless and unnecessary. And if I were in that army, I'd leave.
Hundreds of people are getting incinerated and disintegrated.
I believe a horse head flew daintily
lazily through the air. I love that line.
Wow, what a sentence.
Yeah. Now, I love reading this part. It is really interesting. But you're right. They very much could have used the kin in the initial plan.
Yeah. And I get that they don't know combat weaves as well. But also, what have we been doing with the kin if not teaching them combat weaves? Why have we not been teaching them combat weaves?
I think Elayne kind of forgot about the kin, is the answer.
We cannot be forgetting about the kin.
Elayne also is like...
They don't have the oaths. They're extra useful.
Elayne or Brigitte is also like, oh, I don't want to, I want to keep them clear of all the violence and bloodshed.
Impossible. It's the apocalypse.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Impossible and silly.
Yeah.
It's as silly as what Rand's doing with the maidens, to be honest, if that's true. Impossible and silly. Also, their leader was just brutally murdered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think they would be game to be involved. Because you can go, here's your ability to get retribution.
This is from chapter 33, when the Windfinders they drop one lightning bolt. She goes, a lightning strike had appeared. She hoped Brigitte had managed to involve the Windfinders, unlikely as that seemed. The time would come when the kin would have to use the power as a weapon.
The time is now.
No one could stand aside from Tarman Gaiden, but
correct.
Let them preserve their innocence a little longer.
No! First of all, these are grown-ass women. These are not children.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be one thing if they were, 13-year-old girls, but these are grown-ass women.
I have to think, as essentially vigilante channelers in Abu Dar and other places, I have to think some of the kin have used the power defensively before.
They're from Abu Dar.
Yeah.
What innocence.
I know.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
They're not tinkers.
No.
Ma'am. Okay, this is the thing. We needed 10 extra breaths. And I think this is true of most plans. Right? I think, especially when you're young, you jump into, your first impulse and your first instinct. And her first instinct wasn't wrong. She just needed to take 5 minutes to really breathe in what's happening and really examine it from all angles.
Yeah.
I think that's where, Moraine would have been useful here. Because she's so good at that. Why Vandene, and I think Vandene didn't do it because Vandene is so grief-stricken and eager for revenge that, again, that carrot gets dangled in front of her and she completely loses the big picture. And the big picture is that why would this spy survive over everybody else?
Yeah.
Right? Why would the spy survive over everybody else? People who might have been trained to be spies, but this guy's like a random cut person from the street.
Well, it's kind of it's the Vandene thing, right?
And yeah, that might be true, that he might be the best one because he's from the streets, right? But we also have to consider the possibility that, what are the odds that he'd get such a perfect conversation right in front of him?
It's a little
when they
funky.
know they're being followed.
And that they would have this conversation on the front porch.
On the front porch!
And identify one another by name when
on the front porch.
When they are known Black Aja.
And say how many are in this house.
That is a little sus.
Regardless of whether or not that is true, I think that the preparation needed to be that this could have been planted on purpose. I think the preparation should always be, this could also be a trap. So how can we... Because yes, the instinct to go immediately, I think, was the correct one. That was the correct decision. But I think we needed 15 minutes to summon everybody. Because if we had the amount of time it took to summon an army of people to go, we had time to get the kid.
Yeah.
We had time.
Yeah.
And the army is much more useless. I know Robert Jordan loves his armies and loves these moments of let's introduce Vietnam trauma to Tudor England.
Yeah.
I get that is the thing that that's his the thing that's burning in him. And I don't want to take that away.
And I do think, at the end of the day, if we pull away from the text, the reason he did it this way is probably because he wanted to do another one of these battle scenes.
He wanted another
which is, again,
kind of Dumais Wells moment.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a great moment.
Yeah, and I'm just like thinking about it in terms of Elayne as a character, and I'm like, how could she have had a little more acumen in this situation? Shown a little more thought? Because I think that the loss of life here, from a narrative standpoint, was what Robert Jordan wanted, and that's completely fair. But if I'm like living in this world, and I'm thinking about it as if these people were real, right? I think Elayne needs to work smarter.
Yes.
Not harder.
Yes.
And I think she needs to start anticipating that she and the rest of these kids needs to start anticipating that there are traps in this world. That like sometimes something that feels certain, we have to have a contingency plan for if that plan goes awry. I mean, we saw it with Rand. We've seen it with Rand. We've seen it with Elayne. We've seen it with Egwene. We have to be anticipating that people are willing to betray us.
Yeah.
And that things can be traps. We have to stop accepting strange tea. We have to just get a little smarter here, even though we are in our teens or early 20s. We have to start being like, if it is too good to be true, it might be. Let's anticipate that this could be too good to be true. That our ability to exact revenge may be dangled in front of us for a reason.
Notably, Millie Skane didn't expect all these other Aes Sedai to show up.
So that, really?
Yeah, Millie Skane says, "You have my thanks for your timely rescue, but do you have a reason for coming here tonight? Did Moradin send you?" So I think the Aes Sedai were in on it, but Millie Skane was not.
This is interesting. Because again, when we think about Survivor, the person not in on the plan is in the bottom of the alliance.
Usually.
So it's interesting because it seemed as though Millie Skane had a bit of a power position because she drowned that one
Jacob Careane,
and she has, enacted some brutalities, to put it mildly, onto Phalion, right? It was Phalion that she kind of gave to David Hanlon.
Yeah,
which
and then
is bloom. So you would think that she is in the power position over these other people, but the fact that she has been left out of this plan suggests otherwise. So her position in this group is very shaky.
Yeah.
Because of that.
A little bit.
I'm interested in that.
Well, now they're all captive anyway. Mm-hmm. So Tamila goes, "Elayne's the only one we need. I'd enjoy playing with the others, but
they're
they'd
captive for now because, I mean, if we know anything about captive Black Aja,
they get out.
They either get out.
I'm not saying they will. I'm saying that does happen a lot.
Well, they either get out or they get brutally
killed,
murdered by somebody.
I'd enjoy playing with the others, but they'd be a burden we don't need. If you're going to kill them, Marilyn said as though discussing the price of bread, spare Careane. She is one of us.
Convenient for Careane that they knew that.
A gift from Adelius, Vandene murmured, and Careane's eyes went very wide. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out.
Vandene was like, I don't need any more confirmation than that.
The two women sagged and fell to the carpet. Vandene began trying to push herself up, but Careane lay staring at the ceiling, the hilt of Vandene's belt knife protruding from beneath her breastbone. The glow surrounded Chesmal, and she touched Vandene with a complex weave of fire, earth, and water. The white-haired woman collapsed as if her bones had melted. The same weave...
It's fitting that Chesmal killed them, considering she is the Yellow Aja.
The same weave touched Saritha, and she pulled Elayne down atop her as she fell. Saritha's eyes were already glazing. "Their warders will be coming now," Chesmal said. "A little more killing to do."
This does say more positive things about Varen at this point, for me, that the show combined Vandene and Varen, and no one seemed to throw a big fit over it.
Yeah, sure.
Which again seems to suggest to me that Varen is whatever alignment Vandene is, because otherwise, Twitter. We would have seen some level of outrage over it if that could not have been a smooth combination.
The dog is wagging his tail in his sleep is what that is. You are also assuming that people care about Vandene.
People care about Abelcoffin.
That's true.
People were outraged over the changes in his character.
We don't need to get into all that.
I'm just saying.
No, that's a good point. That's
that
true.
small details, and I'm not harshing anybody's vibe on that.
No, of course.
If that detail matters to you.
Yeah, details are good. Like
Whatever.
Whatever.
What like and don't like, whatever you want. But I feel like if that had been such a huge diversion, I'm just looking for clues wherever I can find them.
You know what? Keep it up.
Because I'm really unsure about Varen at this point.
It's fun, isn't it? To
and
be
so
unsure
I'm like,
about things?
well, if Vandene is good, then that says good things about Varen potentially.
It does suggest it. We're actually gonna cut it here. We're a little tight for time this week, and we're gonna do the other 2 chapters either next week or the week after, depending on if episode 8 coverage is done. We're working on it.
This whole episode was just how I would have done it differently. Well, no, not me as a writer, but me if I were Elayne.
I did it.
Yeah. If it were me, how would I have girl bossed this? Why I'm smarter than Elayne. No, I'm just kidding. But I get it. I get where she's coming from. She's young and you know.
Petey, sweet thing. It's so loud. You have such a big tail, darling.
It's like a weapon.
It really is.
They're going to be like, we didn't really talk about the books. We just talked about Allie's feelings.
Listen,
and
just
plotting.
Elayne, Petey, my God.
Maybe he's dreaming about us.
I hope he is.
He's dreaming about all of you.
Was girl bossing too close to the sun.
That is the conclusion.
That is the conclusion.
And now she is captive for
the
5
next
minutes.
chapter, and then she'll be fine.
She's so lucky she has Brigitte.
I'm very excited for the next chapters soon, because you know who else we get to talk about next time?
What?
Sylvace. Remember Sylvace?
No.
Petey. Okay. You don't remember Sylvace?
No.
You remember creepy old man who thought Aramilla was his daughter and his granddaughter.
Oh, not Sylvace.
Well, no. Sylvace is his granddaughter who always acts really stupid.
Yes, I love her.
She shows up. You read this chapter.
Oh, right.
She shows up and he's like, "What up? He's dead? Fuck you guys. I'm Team Elayne."
Yay! I love her.
Did you miss that?
No, I completely missed it. I forgot who she was.
Well, you'll have to review that because I love that part, because I love that bit.
I think that is the one problem about
yes.
reading it 2
pace.
chapters at a time is that you do sometimes forget people.
Yeah.
But yay, I like Sylvace.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she then volunteers to have her torturer be the supervisor for Aramilla, Nayan, and Elenia. But whatever. We'll get to that when. Anyway.
We'll cross that bridge.
Yeah.
We'll cross that bridge.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We have social media if you want to know what we've got going on. We've also got a podcast. We've also got a Patreon. It's linked down below. It's patreon.com/wheeltakes, and we have merch stores, and you can also leave us a rating and a review if you want, which helps a lot. Other than that, anything else, Allie?
If I were in charge, this would have been 3 books. I'm just kidding.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye.
Bye.